I'm going to assume that that hat is exactly what you wear to business meetings. Yes?
Yeah. I mean,
Good.
I went to work today in a Star Trek Christmas jumper. So who knows, right?
You're probably one of the most liked people at your office, for being honest.
I mean, probably, probably not. But I won't talk about that on camera. Also, hello, I'm HexDSL. Hi.
Yes, and I'm Zaney, and we are doing a podcast. This
Together
is going
with our powers combined.
Yes, and this is probably going to be one of my favorite new series. Originally it was going to be we get together with different Linux creators in the space. We all just have an interesting, relaxed, casual conversation. However, I learned very quickly that getting people who have full-time jobs, part-time jobs, hobbies, family lives, and social lives together on a regular basis is worse than herding cats. So the more genius idea is to just talk with everyone in the community one at a time and still do it casually whenever you can.
Also, I don't know how much collaboration you've done with other YouTubers, but I've been at this for like 8 years, 9 years, right? And in my experience, YouTubers are incredibly unreliable. Like they are.
Yes.
Like, you'll be like 5 o'clock today, and I'll be 5 o'clock. You're like, okay, you get to 5 o'clock, you go 5 o'clock, and they're like, it's 3 o'clock. It's like, no, we agreed on this time zone. And they're like, time zone. Or then you'll go, it's 5 o'clock, where are you? And they'll be like, I went out. Like, why? They're like, I don't know.
Kind of like me.
Absolutely unapologetic though. Just like, I'm not in, man. I don't know.
My thing. So here's how this live stream for me started. For one, we arranged a time to meet up. I had told you beforehand that I did have family stuff, so I might be a little late.
But I was late as well, so it's fine.
Exactly. However, the amount of time that I expected to be late was not nearly enough, as I was going out with my grandmother, and she likes to do that stuff where I have 3 places to go, but as soon as you get to the first place, after that, there is extra places that get invented that were never talked about or discussed before then. So that obviously took quite a bit longer. But then I finally get home. I walk inside my home. Immediately find out that my dog hasn't been walked, which my mom told me she would, which again, she normally does a great job, but she forgot. It's fine, but my dog needed to be walked, which is okay. And then also, as soon as I go to walk my dog, because again, I want to get down at the computer, get this all set up, started, my sister walks out of her room having an emotional breakdown because her college's spyware, the extension for it, won't work. She's freaking out. Her professor won't talk to her and is an absolute ass. She's just losing it. And I'm like, I was standing outside talking to my mom. I'm like, all I want to do is go in here and talk to somebody, and everything is falling apart right now. And she's like, nah, it'll be fine. She'll be fine. By the way, I invited my 2 friends over. Son of a... Wait, so now you're telling me that in the middle of this recording, randomly, your friends are going to come in, be loud, and that's going to make my dog start horrifically barking? Yeah. Thank you. That was my night.
I don't know if your viewers know who I am, but like, I have a podcast as well. Like, Trendy Talk is the podcast
It's
I
fantastic.
do. And the point of that show is it's not a real show. So like, I've literally got up to go and talk to the postman and just left the podcast. It's just like, so for me, I'm just opening my letters and stuff. I'm like, it's my letters. I'm just So yeah, for me, that's fine. That's just like business as usual for me. And like, people love that shit. So you'll be all right. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's like,
I have a feeling that we are the only 2 people that would never ever get annoyed at just random shit going on in the background. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
it is what it is. We're having casual fun.
Yeah, it's like, I hate those podcasts that you watch and people are really YouTubery, and then they're all like jump cut, like, and then there's like, let's talk about this topic, that you see them push a button, a little jingle plays, and you're like, just fuck off, just talk,
have
a conversation.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation. Yeah, it's like
I didn't click here to see the MSNBC, CBC, FBI, whatever news channel you listen to. I didn't come here to see those effects. Like, I don't, the breaking news, like, you know, animation that comes in, I don't need it. Just talk.
Oh, what is with YouTubers with really long intros? You've got a 4-minute video and I'm watching a 90-second intro. You guys need to stop.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I completely agree, because there's also the people who do that. This is the one that gets me, is when they turn, like, the channels who don't have sponsors. Like, they're very adamant that they don't have sponsors, but then they
talk about not having sponsors.
Yeah, they talk about not having sponsors for a long time as their intro into their talking about Patreon and thanking their Patreon supporters. Do you not understand? The whole beautiful thing about Patreon is you can spend 5 to 10 seconds very briefly being like, hey, I've got a Patreon. Thank you guys for all the support over there. It's awesome. And then move on.
Yeah, what I do is at the end of my videos when no one's watching, I flick to like an end card that's like just a static and shit. And I'm like, by the way, Patreon. And that's it. Like, that's it. I don't earn any money on Patreon though. So maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I need to front load that. So I don't know, but just I refuse to do it.
Well, I Patreon is one of those weird things. Like, I can't remember. I've talked about it with a few people. I think I was talking with Matt from the Linux Cast about it, but there's so many Linux projects out there who will like pick one obscure way of taking payment, and then that's the only way you can donate to them.
Like you can donate to me through Litecoin. Through Dogecoin.
Yeah.
We only take Dogecoin. Like, we don't do Patreon because they don't accept Dogecoin, and we're all in on Dogecoin.
Yeah, like, screw you, man. I'm not in Dogecoin. Like, I like your project, but I'm not buying Dogecoin.
Or the other people, or then there's the people that have like weird specifications. Like, it's like, if you want to support this project, donate £22.19 through this arbitrary link that can't be verified and will come up as a virus. I assure you it's safe, but it has to be £29.03 exactly. We only take in multiples of £29.03. It's like, why? Just give me some money. Here's the hole you put it in. It's like, that's what you want to do.
That's kind of the whole point of donations. It's just like, hey, if you want to give me something, give it. Like,
it's like I'll take whatever. It's like, I'm not even bothered. Just whatever you want. Whatever you want.
I think me and Matt were talking about, like, from the perspective of, like, if you're doing something for free and the only way that you can possibly get paid for it is by people out of the, like, goodness of their heart giving you money, doesn't it kind of just make sense to kind of
make it easy?
Yeah, like,
yeah. You know, I've got the best. My favorite thing though is I've got under all my videos there's an Amazon wish list, right?
Yes.
Now, what I decided to do was I don't do like, it's not a wish list that I curate for like YouTube. It's not like this is my YouTube wish. It's my actual wish list, right? So the shit on there, like there's some like I need some like folders for filing. So there's like some filing cabinet folders on there, and there was some soap on there recently, and I like it like, and I've got Amazon set so it doesn't tell me when someone buys something. So sometimes I come home from work and I've got some soap, and I'm like, yes, don't have to buy soap now. And then other times though, I'll come back and it's like I've got like a model spaceship, and I'm like, ooh, and it's just so good to just come home and have a random gift.
You have
it's so good.
Yes, you have drastically improved my life because I copied that. I now have my wish list under there.
Great.
The best day was coming home, not expecting anything, and just finding out someone had bought me the thermal pads that I've been looking at on wish list.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's great. Yeah, but like I love I get things that are like £2.99. It's just stuff I'm like, I'll buy that at some point, add to wish list, and I forget that it's a public wish list, right? I try and train myself to just use it like a wish list. I'm like, I need some like soap, I need some like, you know, I need this thing that's like £3, but I'm not checking out, so I'll just add it to wish list and get back to it later. And then like magically, it's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah, because it's actually things that you need, and it's like literally having a present at your front door, just randomly.
But I did have an email though, because again, it's my actual wish list. There was this monitor I've got my on. I've still got my on it. It's like I want this like curved 1440 monitor, and it keeps going really up and down in price drastically from like £200 up to like 400. So I'm waiting till it comes down before I buy it, right? Because I know it goes up and down. So it's on my wish list. And I literally got an email from a dude, I don't know who he is, who just said, "I'm not spending that much money on you." I'm like, did I ask?
Dude, I've gotten the same thing. I had someone personally email me and say, I was looking at your wish list, and you had
You're taking the piss.
Yeah, I have like a JBL Charge or something on there. It's a really nice like portable Bluetooth speaker. It's like $150, and he's like, I like, why would I spend $150 on you?
Well,
I'm
don't then.
yeah, like you know what? I have items on there that are like $4. Like
Yeah.
And all of them I want. Like just
It's just like but like because it sounds like you do. I do. It's your actual fucking wish list, not a special curated wish list. But people are like, I'm not spending that much. It's like, well, yeah, but there's always some dude out there that's like a drunk millionaire that watches your channel and goes, you know what? I'll buy you a $2,000 laptop. Why not? Like it happens.
Yeah,
like,
there's that one guy who's like a Google executive. He's like bored.
He's like, fuck you. Like, yeah. Or like, that's nice. I thought I bought that for me. I've sent it to him. Oh wow, there's like it's great when that happens, right? So like, I'm like, of course I'm putting a laptop on there. Why wouldn't I put a laptop on there? Like that'd be dumb not to.
Yeah,
it's called a wish list, not a definitely gonna get me list.
That's exactly the point. It's not called you need to get me this.
Yeah. So when the people email me like you're taking the piss of that wish list, don't buy it then. Like I literally like one of the favorite things I got off my wish list. I don't know if you probably can't see it actually. You probably okay. Up there on that shelf up there, right? Mm-hmm. I'm starting to get a collection of tiny starships up there, right? Now only I can see them, right? So when I open my curtains, I'm standing next to them, right? Mm-hmm. And I love my tiny spaceships. They're like £6 each, right? And like they just keep arriving, and it's fucking brilliant, right? I love those. They're literally less than a cup of coffee, right? Why don't I buy them myself? Because like if I bought every random thing I wanted, I'd have a house full of stuffed toys. And they just have a house full of random shit. So I'm like, can't do that. So yeah, I like the wish list.
I think it's funny that like most men won't actually acknowledge that about themselves. Like if you actually bought all the stuff that you wanted, your house would be.
I mean, I've got a Tinkerbell on my microphone. This is the sort of guy I am, It's like, you know what I mean? I'm just going to fill my room with shit if I just buy everything I want. So I wish list it and other people buy it me and then I get the thing without feeling like a douchebag, which is nice.
You have none of the, like, there's no chance of the buyer's remorse, at all. You just get the thing that you want.
It was like, cool. I got space. I got time. Like, what do I want a tiny light up Borg cube for? I don't know. I don't fucking know. But you know what? I just look at him like he's a Borg cube. And just like that's it, and I love it, and it's fucking brilliant. And would I have bought that for myself? No, because my brain would go, you don't need a Borg cube. Yeah. But when it arrives, I'm like, woo,
Yeah. So, and you also don't have to play the mental game of convincing yourself that it's only $5.
Oh man, I can emotionally justify fucking anything if I put my. I'm like, do I need a light up flamingo for my for my windowsill? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like if you're honest with yourself, there's a lot of stuff that you can justify that you definitely shouldn't be able to justify.
Like, my current one is I justified by an official Mega Drive controller for my Switch, right? I don't need a £40 Mega Drive controller because I've already got a knockoff Mega Drive controller. my brain goes, man, that's legit. You like playing Shining Force? You've got a Switch. It's only £40. Look how much money you spent on your Switch. Don't be a twat. So my brain's like, ooh. What am I gonna do?
That's how it always works. It's only $40. That's what your brain tells you all the time.
Only $40. If you work out how much you get paid an hour and you go like, I spent like 2 hours of my fucking life to buy it, like you wouldn't do it. But like your brain's like, no, fuck you. You want that.
It's only 2 hours of your life. Come on.
But I've already got a Mega Drive controller. I didn't even need. I literally got one with 6. But I've got a better controller. But yeah, I was just So that's and obviously this happens a lot, right? Like this happens like enough that Nintendo at this point, I feel like there should be a button on Nintendo's website that goes, "Just send me the shit. Just don't even ask. Just send it."
It's crazy that more websites haven't done that Amazon buy now shit.
Yeah, yeah. I think Nintendo could get. I think if Nintendo had a button that was like, every time we make a first party thing, we'll just auto bill you and send it. I'd probably click that. I'd be like, yeah, because like I want the N64 controller, but I missed the 1 minute when it was in stock. So now I just have to check the website every day. But I'm like, if there had been a button that's just like, just send me the shit, I would have just clicked that. No problem. Because I want an N64 controller to gather dust with my Mega Drive controller and my SNES controller because I'm an idiot.
And it's also kind of crazy that a lot of people aren't, or a lot of places aren't doing that already, where you're just like, I want to get I want to order a graphics card. I know it's out of stock. Just let me go ahead and buy it.
Yeah.
And then just send it to me
Just
when
give
you
it,
fucking
take
get
the
it.
money when it's in. Just give it. Yeah, like that's the way forward. Because I mean, especially with things like that in that N64 controller, like it's such a pain in the ass to get. Just I'll pay now. Just bill me now. Just send it whenever. I don't care. Because it saves me the hassle. Because it's more hassle for me to go and check the fucking website every day.
Yeah, and it also makes you build like resentment towards them because you're like, I have to go to the fucking website every day.
I'm like a beaten dog when it comes to Nintendo. Like they hurt me, and I just keep going back because I think one day they won't kick me. They'll pat me on the head, and that's how I feel. You know, that's how Nintendo got me.
You're in an extremely abusive relationship, but you just enjoy the hell out of it.
Why do they stay? Why do they stay? You know, like no, I totally get that. That's so your audience is switching off because of all the Nintendo talk already. So sorry about that.
No. I have plenty of viewers that very much would enjoy if I talked more about Nintendo.
I've got the opposite. If I even remind people I own a Switch, they are livid with me. They are livid. They are so mad.
See, here's the thing that I don't understand about a lot of people when it comes to like the console or like whatever arguments that you're going to have. Like Nintendo sets itself apart because a lot of what makes Nintendo great is the Nintendo shit. Like what makes Nintendo great is not the Switch. It's all of Nintendo's games that you're going to play on the Switch. To me, like the whole argument of Nintendo being terrible or something, it's like, no, you're just not a fan of Nintendo. If you're a fan of Nintendo, it's awesome.
To be fair, the last Mario Golf game was a piece of shit. Like it really was. I
objectively never played it, so I can't say.
Don't play that one. That was so bad. Even I was like, really, Nintendo? You think this is okay, Nintendo? Like, which is pretty bad. So. Yeah.
Nintendo is one of those companies where it's only bad when the actual Nintendo fans have something to say, because everybody else will shit on Nintendo all day and it means nothing. But as soon as one real big Nintendo fanboy says something slightly negative, it's like, oh shit.
I'm saying it's not that good, so by that standards, it's like a -10 game. It's like it's literally a turd.
You might as well be throwing Molotov cocktails at Nintendo's headquarters.
Which is weird, right? Because Nintendo, even when they're pissed off, right? Nintendo fans are so polite. Like even when they're like, I was literally like rage filled at how bad Mario Golf was, and the most I can bring myself to do is go, wasn't one of the best. What if that was EA? I would literally be setting explosives. Yeah. I would be planning. I'd be buying shotguns and stuff.
If it was EA, you would be standing outside of their office screaming how much they're a terrible piece of shit. And then when it comes to Nintendo,
javelins through the windows and shit, right? It's Nintendo, and I just go, it wasn't great.
You're like, I regret. I shouldn't have bought that game. Like it's
my fault.
Nintendo. It does like Nintendo is the only company that has mastered that kind of
gaslight like you. They gaslight you. You're like, I didn't enjoy this Nintendo game. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, it's like, your fault. It can't be Nintendo.
Nintendo, you know. But then you're like, you'll do shit like that, right? And they'll release turds like they'll release absolute turkeys, and then they'll be like, yeah, but Splatoon 3, and you'll be like, oh, it's worth it. It's worth it. You know, and it's bullshit.
That's kind of like the whole argument or the mindset that a lot of people have when it comes to the Switch that kind of blew me away was everyone was talking about how like a Doom and because of Doom and all like Skyrim and all these games coming to the Switch, like it was going to be a massive success. I'm like, I don't think y'all Doom and Skyrim doesn't sell consoles.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I bought Doom on my Switch.
Yeah.
So like I'm part of the problem, but yeah, like no one's buying a Switch. No one's going, I can play Skyrim. I'm going to buy a Switch. No, they're buying Mario Kart. That's what they're buying a Switch to play Mario Kart. They're buying a Switch for Smash Brothers. They're buying a Switch for first. Even if Nintendo only had first party stuff on the Switch, I would still have bought one without a second thought. Yeah. Like, no problem. Yeah.
I was actually talking with my friend about that because he loves his fucking Switch, loves it. And one of the things that we were talking about, I was like, all right, so if you could only purchase Mario and first-party Nintendo games, would the console be worse? And he's like, no.
Yeah, it'd be fine. Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, I don't think, like, other people who are not as into Nintendo don't understand that mindset of, like, whatever AAA games you throw on it, that's not going to sell. Doom being on the Switch,
it's
cool
great.
as shit.
Yeah, but
awesome.
like no one cares. Yeah, it's great, and it's like you got a really nice cake, and then someone adds whipped cream. That's great, but you still got cake, you know. It's like,
exactly.
It's fine. Yeah. But Yeah, there are like things like Monster Hunter, right? Like that's not a first party game, right? But like Monster Hunter Rise, I've played like 200 hours of it, and I'm not anywhere near the end of it. Right? I'm just nowhere near being done with that game, and that's nuts. Like it's nuts that and that's a Switch. And when it comes out on PC, I'm like, I got the Switch version, so I'm not going to play the 4K version on PC. I'm going to play the 720 version on my Switch, and I'm just having a great time. It's like, and I don't know, and like because like high resolution, good graphics don't actually make a game better after a certain point. Like a game is a game; it's still the same game, even if it's got widescreen support and shit.
No. Well, when it comes to a beautiful looking game, it's nice. That does not mean anything, though. Hold on, but we have to go back here. You have spent 200 hours in Monster Hunter and have not made any progress, or not any progress, but you're not close to the end.
Okay, I've killed everything. Okay, Monster Hunter Rise I'm talking about. That's the newest one on the Switch, right? Me and my buddy Hangman Joe, right, who's in my Discord group, we play it 3 nights a week, 2 or 3 hours a night, right? Pretty much all the time, right? And we've killed every monster in that game. We've got every piece of armor we want. So then we got our friend Matt to buy it, and we're just playing through the game with Matt. And then like when Matt gets the end, we'll get someone else to buy it, and we'll just play to we'll just keep playing it. You know why?
Jeez.
We like murdering monsters. I don't need a reason to do it. You know, I just need a monster, and I'll just keep hitting it with a stick until it dies.
That's crazy because it's almost like killing a dragon is kind of cool.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there's like a couple of monsters that like giant flying tigers, or like one that's like basically like a jet engine in the form of a dragon. It's like I'm gonna kill that, and it's like it's pointless because it's grind, right? But Monster Hunter goes, you like the grind? We made the grind a lot of fun. Just do that, and it's like okay. That's
kind of the thing. I don't understand how so many games don't get this. You can make the grind fun. Like it's 100% a thing.
Yeah.
And so many games
every game has a loop, right? Like every game has like a loop. If you like the loop, it's not grind, it's content. If you don't like the loop, it's grind. That's the only difference. Like I'll play a clicker and it's all content for me. Someone else will play a clicker because they don't like clickers, and to them it's all grind. I'm like, no, that's the game. That's the fun bit. But yeah.
Well, clickers are one of those weird things where like I don't understand how someone plays a clicker and it goes, this is just grinding. Like that's I don't do you not understand the category of game, like the genre? Like that's what you're what? Like I've never understood that.
The way I explain clickers to people, because I'm a big fan of idle games, clickers, all that category of stuff, right? And the way I explain it to people is it's just something for your brain to do so you're not agonizing about your own mortality. No. So it's just that bit of your brain that has anxiety and has stress and has like pointless obsessions and stuff. It's like that bit of your brain will be filled by a clicker. So when I've got 100 hours in a clicker, I'm not actually playing the clicker for 100 hours. I'm tinkering with it while I'm doing something else. And I'll go back and I'll tinker. I'll move the dials around and I'll go back to something else. And it's just that little bit of a cog in your head being occupied. So just a little bit of your brain is distracted, and that allows you to to just, I don't know, relax in a way that you don't relax when you just got an empty brain. It's good. I like it.
I think you bring up a good point, because I think clickers are kind of like the like techie guys version of like mindfulness. Like you can zone out on something, and you can still, like, because it takes so little of your brain power, you can actually get in and have a more like deep thought about other things.
It's like grandma's knit, right? They don't care what they're knitting. They just want to knit. They just want to be doing the knitting, right? That's what a clicker is to a nerd. Like it's just that tick over. I'm watching a movie. I've got a clicker on the other screen. Be just like grandma used to knit a sweater while she was watching her stories. You know, it's exactly the same, but it's that modern version of it, and it's probably worse because knitting, at least you get socks at the end of it.
Well, I mean, it's weird because we live in a world where people want to tell you like gaming is kind of just this terrible thing for you. But all right, I mean, if you think about it, your grandma, like, especially if you had a great grandmother like mine who was super into knitting, that house was full of shit that she knit. Like we had too many damn fucking blankets in that house.
So I don't want that sweater. It's horrible.
Exactly. Like I don't need another hand knitted sweater. I don't need another hand knitted blanket. I've got 6. Trust me, I'm fine.
I mean, you raise a good point though, because this is something I've said many times on my videos. Is I wish I did not like video games. Like, I have no doubt that if I did not like video, and I'm not saying don't play, I'm saying like, right? So if I did not, like, in my soul, I found video games boring, I have no doubt I would have a better life. Like, right? Like, no doubt, right? But I do like video games. So if I don't play things I like, that makes me stupid, right? Because I enjoy doing a thing, right? So, like, if I don't do, like, how's that helping, right? I have no doubt whatsoever that if I didn't like video games and I could get that joy I get from video games by doing something else, I have no doubt that my life would be better. And I kind of wish I didn't like video games. But at the same time, I've met so many friends through video games, and I've had so many interactions I wouldn't have had, and I've learned things by talking to people from all over the world that I wouldn't have done. So there are upsides to it. But when it comes to, like, I'd probably have a much nicer car and a better job if I had spent more time doing stuff and less time playing video games.
I'm going to argue with that perspective for a second, because I don't think it's actually true.
No. In that case, you carry on arguing. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Go for it. Let's go.
All right. So here's the thing. When it comes to if that's how you're looking at it, it's kind of what you're assuming is that because you're going to be that Earl Grey. There you go. But you're assuming that you're going to essentially have you being more productive in other areas of life is going to lead to you being happy. That's I mean, this is a self-aware diagnosis. Don't misunderstand. Like, I'm not angry that I like video games, because if I felt like that, I would just stop. But it's like if that thing, like, if I didn't like, if something else made me as happy as 200 hours of Monster Hunter, that I'm fairly sure that would make my life better, right? But only because something else is there. Well, I mean, like, it's a weird, because, like, just because you have a lot of financial success does not mean you're happy.
I don't have any financial success, so don't worry about that.
Same.
That's not a problem. I'm making sure that's not something I face.
Yeah. Especially after this Christmas, I am broker than broke. I'm pretty sure there's a homeless man who has more money than I do in my bank account.
Like this isn't even a bit. I feel that pain. I feel that pain.
I'm not lying. I'm being 100% serious.
Yeah. The last of my liquid capital was used on this evening's dinner. Yeah.
Mine was used on this Dr. Pepper here. That's now gone.
That Dr. Pepper is in place of your medicine this month, because it's like, he's a doctor, Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah.
Mr. Pepper is going to take good care of me.
That saying, I don't know anybody. Like, I describe myself as not financially motivated, right? Like the idea of getting more money does not make me want to do a thing more or less. It has no impact, right? So I'm not, like, it does not motivate me. I like having enough money to pay bills, obviously. I wouldn't want to be out of work, so obviously I'm financially motivated enough. But that's because I'm motivated by, like, I want to have enough money to buy books and video games, right? So it's not the money, it's the stuff I can buy with it. But like I think if I didn't like video games, like, do you know anybody who has a really high-powered, stressful job that is actually happy? Because I don't know one of them. I know a few people with really good jobs, and they're all miserable as fuck. And you're like, why do you do it? They're like to get the money so I don't have to do it. And it's like, you're never going to stop doing it. You're never going to stop. Ever.
Exactly.
My point. Yeah.
That's I feel for a lot of people, because their definition of success is directly tied to, like, how they're doing financially. And it's weird that for a lot of people, like, all it would take is, like, I don't know, like 2 minutes of clarity to realize everything that I'm doing, no matter how much money I have, that doesn't make me happy. And also, like, the only point of having money is so that you can do the things that you enjoy. Like, why would you spend an exorbitant amount of your time that you could be spending having fun and doing the things that you enjoy, making more money, so that, like, the idea that a lot of people get caught up in is, okay, let me make as much money as humanly possible so that I can have a shitload of money when I retire and I'll never have to worry about it.
Then they die.
Or you hit retirement and realize it doesn't matter how much money I have, I still need more. Like, you can't, even if you saved up like $300,000 for retirement, if you've got to live.
Imagine, no, that's nonsense. No one's like, I'm going to save $3 for retirement.
No, I know people who have saved up $300,000 for retirement, retired early because, again, you got that much money, you feel like you can. Yeah. And then at the age of Exactly. At like 76, they're like, I'm back at work, doing my thing. Again, much more casually, not working nearly as hard, but still working. I'm like, exactly. Like, why didn't you just spend much more of your time enjoying life? Like,
Yeah. No, yeah. And given how the world's going slowly downhill, you might as well enjoy it now. Because it's going to be worse in the future.
Exactly. Like,
yeah. Although nerd lifestyle became popular, like I remember a time a few years ago when people would be like, "Why are you wasting your time playing video games and talking to strangers on the internet?" And now I'm like, I'm following government guidelines.
oh, dude, I remember 5 years ago when people told you the most unhealthy thing that you could possibly do is sit in front of a computer all day, and now people are like, "You went outside?" Like,
yeah.
It's such a weird time.
It's like, you went for a walk, you animal. It's dude, like, go home and play Doom.
During the height,
you know about Animal Crossing?
During the height of all of the pandemic shit, I was a delivery driver in Nashville, and I saw multiple instances of people getting onto each other for not wearing masks in their cars. And I'm like, okay, look, y'all. Just go out and be like, if you're going to go out and be normal, try and be normal. Like, don't scream at somebody in their car like, hey man, you're going to get me sick. Like, you kidding?
Yeah. It's like you're like, I'm going outside to be alone in my car. I will put my mask on to be alone in my car.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. Now people do go too far, but likewise, like I went into like a store recently and I was the only one. Like the whole time I've never not worn a mask. Like as soon as they invented COVID, I was like, I'm wearing a mask for life when I go outside. And like people don't, and then they get sick, and you're like, wow, what do you think was going to happen?
To me, I always liked the people who were talking about how you needed to be super safe, super careful and everything. And then also at the same time, we're telling, posting this on, again, I live in the South. So like we got plenty of crazy people on Facebook who will be more than happy to share their stupid opinions.
I'm a guest on your show. I'm not going to bash Americans today. I'm going to be really well behaved.
Look, we got some crazies over here. And there were plenty of people telling you that you needed to be safe and everything, but they would not wear a mask because it was suffocating. And I'm like, dude, how in God's green earth do you believe that? Like, what? On what? I don't even know. What?
I mean, like, when surgeons are operating on you, they can't breathe, obviously. They just hold their breath. With open heart surgery, 14 hours, they hold their breath the whole time. Yeah. That's because it's easier.
Every single nurse that when I walk into a hospital, they are all on the brink of death. They are all just...
Some of them, they die as well. They've got cupboards full of dead nurses in the back.
There's storage rooms where they're allowed to go in there and take their mask off and take a deep breath.
Yeah. But the other people, the ones that are like, I don't have to wear a mask. I'm exempt. Like, what do you have? I have claustrophobia. It's not a room.
Yeah.
It's not. Like I'm exempt. Okay, what do you have? I just really don't like it.
Well, here's the great. I have a cousin who has really bad asthma. Still wore a mask. What's the argument, like, that you're medically exempt, like, because like you can't breathe? Like, how does someone who has severe asthma and who literally can't breathe still wearing a mask and is fine? Like,
yeah. It's like I had someone told me that, like, my mom can't wear a mask. She's just claustrophobic. I was like, if you can't wear a mask for your own benefit, you should not be going out. Like, if you can't wear a mask, then you are obviously unhealthy because you need all that, you've got something wrong with you that means, like, you shouldn't be going out. If you can't wear a mask, stay inside, get someone else. Just don't leave the house. Oh no, for the mental health.
Look, let's be honest. If your breathing is so poor that somebody could literally suffocate you by putting a thin t-shirt over your mouth, going outside is a severe risk. I mean, in every case, what happens when you walk by some window drapes and they blow over your face?
Yeah. What happens if you yawn and you cover your mouth and just like, dead? Yeah. You cough and it's just too much for you. Yeah. No, but like thing is that, I mean, like bashing aside, most people during the whole plague, people have been for the most part, you've seen a lot of douchebags on TV. Most humans you encounter are reasonable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing with the internet in
I
general.
mean, they are in England, obviously.
Well, over here, most people are very general, sensible, and like, I mean, over here, the mask mandates are gone. Most people aren't wearing masks, but if you walk into somewhere, like, again, everyone's got masks on them. If you're like, hey, I would prefer it if you wear a mask, every single person will just put their mask on. Like, it's weird. It's like, it's almost like people in public normally kind of nice. And then yes,
have you got to the point? Because I realized I developed a thing, right? Like I'll walk into town. I'm waiting to pick my daughter's gets bus back from college. I have to wait like 15-20 minutes for her. So I'm like, I go coffee shop, read McKinley coffee shop, and I feel myself. I'm like, I walk into the coffee shop. I'm like, when did the mask appear? Like I don't remember putting this. Like, it just like, and then I'll leave the coffee shop and I'll be like, where's it gone? It's like, how does it like? It's become so subconscious now. It's like I don't even know I'm doing it now.
See,
that's
me,
what it should be.
That's the way it should be. For me, it was so different because during like the really height of it, when almost nobody was going out, and the mandates were like really serious, I had to go down to the bank one time, and I remember pulling up to the bank and I see like everybody walking in with masks, and everybody's got different types. Some have got the regular like blue hospital mask, but a lot of people have those like stylized one where it's like it looks like you're just like
a skull.
Yeah, like you're like some type of thug like walking in there, and like it was weird because like I was putting on my mask and it hit me. I'm like, could you, 4 or 5 years ago, if I was putting on a mask before I walked into a bank, like
the police are waiting for you, man.
Yeah, like I would have guns pointed at me before I even got to the door. Like, and now it's like if I walked in there without a mask, I would be tackled to the ground.
You. Get out!
yeah. Like get this animal out of here quick!
He wants us to see his face. Like, do you have? I see a lot of these guys as well. The people that wear the mask, right? And so they've got their mask, but their nose is out, and it's like, what? Why do you think that's working? Like, first of all, why do you think that's working? And secondly, why are you so proud of your nose?
Yeah.
Like why do you want like look at my nose? Like, it's huge, man. I want to cover it up. It's like I just
I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen the mask where you put it on and it's like it looks like your face, like but it's like got the mask down like over your lip, like where it's clearly not over your nose or anything. I will never understand the people who buy those masks and go out in public, because like you are only trying to start shit. Like that's it.
Dicks.
Yeah, like I've never I understand like, oh, this could potentially be a funny joke, but when you think about it for a second, like all you're gonna do is start shit in random environments.
Or if people are nervous, like I'm quite nervous nowadays as well, I'd be like, it's just like he's breathing on me. You're just gonna freak people out. Like I'm a confident dude, and I'm at the point where I'm a little bit neurotic about this, right? So I can imagine like grandma down the street that's a wreck is like what's happening? Like they don't even want to. They just see lips, like
They just immediately try and stay as many feet away from you as possible.
Yeah, which maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's what they want. Just like all the way.
It's actually probably a good idea.
Yeah. We should stop talking about this though, because people are going to be like, "Why are you talking about this? We know about this. Like, stop
exactly.
it. Move on." So we should follow on.
So, do you have any comment on Fedora?
Fedora. Okay, so Fedora is a Linux distribution. It is.
Really?
Yes, it is a Linux distribution. Fedora is one of those distributions that I think is not for me. Like, because first of all, I don't like corporation-backed distros. I don't care how nice the corporation is. I don't want a distro that's backed. Like, I wouldn't run Walmart Linux. Like I want my community to make my distro, not my corporation.
That is really unfortunate.
Which results in a much better distro. And I know the argument is that Fedora is very far removed from Red Hat to the point where like it's not really, but it still bothers me because some of the decisions they make, like pushing Wayland so hard, pushing GNOME so hard, like that's obviously coming from Red Hat, so you can't really say that. But when I look at Fedora, I think if I was a very serious developer, and I was just doing development of software, Fedora would be a good choice because of sensible defaults. But for anybody else, I'm not sure it has a place. I think you'd be better off with pretty much any other distro. If you're a gamer, you should be using a rolling distro like Arch or something, because you're going to get newer drivers. If you're a writer, you should be using something that's super stable like Debian. if you depending what you do, there is a distro that you should be using, not necessarily the one you're going to be using, but other than developers, no one should use Fedora. And even then, I think that lots of people who are developers are not really using Fedora because they're going to install Fedora and then get rid of all the defaults anyway. So you might as well just use Arch or something. So yeah, I have nothing against it. It's an excellent distro and it's very cohesive, but it's not something I can't think there's any people I would advise to use it.
The reason I ask about Fedora is only because have you heard anything about Fedora just having not necessarily across the board, but just better support for more unique hardware, more weird hardware setups?
Yeah, I've heard people say that. But I think if you look at I say, so what that is sensible defaults and good foresight, right? So they're going okay, this new thing's out, we've patched it in, we've backported it, we've got it in straight away. You're going to get that same level of support from any Arch-based distro, right? Because Arch-based distro just has newer kernel, newer drivers, so you're going to get wider support, right? Obviously, if I had a brand new laptop, I'm probably not going to install Debian on it, even though I love Debian. I'm not going to install Debian on my brand new laptop. I'd install Arch on it. And with Fedora, I think they try and straddle it. I feel like they get that wider support by just having by focusing attention on that to make sure it works. The reason for that as well is developers who are going to have lots of money to burn are going to have newer hardware, so it's important for them to support that newer stuff. But I doubt it's much better than something like Arch. I doubt there's a lot in that.
No.
Default, obviously it's going to have a default loadout, so even if you've got a new laptop, it might have all the defaults to make that laptop work, whereas in Arch you're going to have to configure that yourself. But if you're someone who's developing, that's going to be trivial for you, right?
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I have a very weird hardware setup with this laptop. It is an all AMD it's got an APU in it, so a 47 or 4800H or something like that, and then a dedicated RX 5600M as well. And
in a laptop?
In a laptop, yep.
How? What? How? Why? That's weird.
Exactly, super weird. Because in laptops, pretty much when it comes to graphics switching in Linux and everything, the only known thing is Intel and Nvidia, not AMD
the
and AMD.
Optimus, or what's that thing called?
It's Optimus, yeah.
Optimus, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime, yeah.
Okay. Got to transform.
And much like the Transformer, it's often dead when you need it.
Exactly. It's freaking terrible. But yeah, so it's even with the NVIDIA card switching on Linux already kind of being iffy, this setup is even
because you're switching from AMD to that's going to be a nightmare. Do you use GNOME by any chance?
I'm actually on Fedora 35 now,
right,
standard edition.
Because GNOME's got that thing, you can set it up so you can right click on an application and go run with and then choose a graphics card, right? Which is, again, that's configuration, not code. That's just configuration defaults.
Yes, and Fedora is also configured to do that auto. I don't even have to choose to launch with a discrete card. It will, it'll just switch, which is
so if it's
genius.
OpenGL based, it's going to switch with the higher powered card, and then if it's just standard rastering, that makes sense. Yeah. That's smart. I mean, that's the thing they're good at, though, right? Yeah. But every other distro is going to rip that off in about an hour and a half.
You're so right. It's
that's a good idea. Steal it.
Yeah, the thing about Arch that makes it, which is I completely agree with what you're saying. Arch has this thing where Arch has a dedicated wiki page for this laptop. If you search Dell G5 SE 5505, Arch, hey, don't you be doing that.
The dog's install BSD.
He's got he's trying to bark a tennis ball in his mouth.
I do that. I do it all the time. Sometimes I've just got a tennis. I'm it's yeah.
I'm just trying to
gag, I get confused.
Oh, dude, I hate that when you mess up your ball gag for your tennis ball. It's humility.
It's worse when it's the other way around. You're at the tennis court ready to go. Next thing you know, it's
you just pull a ball gag out of your bag.
You're just how do I explain it? And the only answer is you don't. You just hope they're into it.
Yeah. You just pull it out. You're like, oh, this is embarrassing.
So you're not going to believe this, guys. Ball gag. And they're like, me too. How weird. Yeah.
Everybody forgot their tennis balls at home. Well, I guess we can just play with some ball gags. I don't know. So here's the thing: when it comes to sports and Linux
Ball gags. Yeah.
and ball gags, of course, does anyone actually develop or have a sports application on Linux, like where you watch sports? Like, does that even exist on Linux?
Does that exist anywhere? Is that a thing?
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, like you can get apps on Windows like ESPN and all that shit. And
Yeah, aren't they all web-based though? Like I assume.
I'm sure.
Obviously. I mean, because I watch ice hockey, right? Like sometimes, and like I know the NHL website thing. You can just use that's a mobile phone app, but you can just get that via HTML5, right? I didn't know there was actual desktop loadouts for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're being completely honest, there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a desktop application.
Like, just yeah.
But I've always wondered that. Like, I've always wondered if one day Linux will hit this point where we start seeing like, not necessarily commercial things, but just things in general that aren't like typical for Linux. Like you don't normally see your
I've got an example of that, right? The last month, I've not no secret. I've been writing a book, right? Well, for a while now, but I've been on the last phase of editing recently, and I was like, I'm dyslexic, so I wanted to have a little bit more confidence in my own editing, so I decided to just give Grammarly a try, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How the fuck is there no desktop application for Grammarly on Linux? How has no one fixed that? Like, how is that? So I have to use Google Docs in the website, the web plug, and I'm like, how is there not a Grammarly application for Linux? Like that's mad. Like surely the people who make Grammarly should go, I just make one, give me 5 minutes. Like that baffled me, that did. And I was like, that was the first time in a long time where I went to something that is essentially very mainstream, because usually I'm on Vim and stuff, right? So to go for something really mainstream and then just to be shocked that it's not on Linux, I was like, yeah, so we've not come as far as I thought. It's just that my tastes have changed.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
to
me, the day that we've really changed. Hi, buddy.
Dog.
Hi. How are you doing? Yeah. The thing that I will know Linux has exploded in popularity, and it has definitely hit the mainstream when I hear your high school footballer or football team is all using Linux. Like, that's what they use. That's when I know.
They try and make it sound cool though, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I use the Nix." Yeah. Like, I really hope they try and make it cool. That'd be brilliant. I'd love that.
It would be great if you start hearing people I mean, I was struggling trying to find a woman, but then luckily,
I installed Linux.
I installed Linux, and they have this great dating app, and I was able to find the woman of my dreams.
Or like someone goes, I really wanted to use the new Pornhub application, but I had to install Linux for it. Like I couldn't. Yeah, the Pornhub app doesn't work. Yeah, that's the future.
My dog are going crazy right now.
I'll just keep talking about porn then, if that's all. I'm just going to keep... Okay, so I'm alone. I'm alone now. So I guess I just vamp, I guess. I'll just say cool things until I'm like, he's so cool. Like, I can't tell you how cool this person I'm podcasting with is. He's so cool. I just told him how cool you was while he was gone. I just kept talking about you. I was all over how cool you are. Fantastic.
Because I don't have enough people out there telling me how cool I am. I only get the average comments where you're like, I watched your video and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that you're not a piece of shit. And that does mean something.
I said that the first time we ever spoke. I'm like, just to be clear, are you a Nazi? And you thought I was joking. I was like, this is not a joke. I need to know. You're like, why? I'm like, this has happened before. Just saying. He's like, well, how would you know? And I'm like, because if you ask a Nazi if they're a Nazi, they go, of course I am. Yeah.
Wait. Because I've never asked a Nazi this, I can't fathom being part of that, like being a neo-Nazi or a Nazi and being like, yes, I am proud to be one.
Okay, so in my experience, I mean, the problem is I'm like a bald white guy, so people just assume I'm a white supremacist. So they feel like they're in a safe place. I'm not a white supremacist. I'm a vegetarian Wiccan hippie. Like I'm the opposite end of that, to be clear. Right? I'm sorry about the bald and white thing. I don't mean to be either of those things. So when they first see me, they're like, we're in around friends. You're like, are you a Nazi? Like, yeah, of course, yeah. But yeah, no, it happens. Like I had an email, and this was quite a long time ago now, by someone that was watching some of my streams, who was like, literally used the words, I am worried about the non-white agenda. Like literally said that to me, and I was like, to be treated equal. I'm just like,
what?
Like, yeah, and like literally, there was like, you should use your reach to, you know, inform people about the non-white agenda to make sure they're aware. And like it was like there was no ambiguity in it. Like he was just like he was trying to sell me on supremacy. I'm just like, I wrote this really long email back, like explaining my stance on stuff, and I was about to send it, and I was like, Control A, delete, fuck you, send. just like, and then the next time the dude turned up in a comment on YouTube, I banned and reported him, and that's the last I heard of him.
Unfortunate. You could have made a very, very good bigoted friend. Come on.
Just like, I was like, well, I'm a lonely dude, man. If I could make friends like this, I've just got to, you know, oppress minorities. That could be a way forward for me. Like, no, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so I've encountered it in the wild, like firsthand. I've had people like literally try and sell me on this, like try and be like, I know you seem friendly, but black people exist. Have you heard about that? It's like, I had not heard about that. That sounds terrible. Like, you know, it's not. Like, I'm joking, right? But like, genuinely, the fact that people think it's okay to say this shit, fucking, like, well, this is why we shouldn't have a planet. Like, this is
exactly. Like, that's the thing that people like. It's okay to joke about it because guess what? It is absolutely hilarious that these people actually exist.
I have mixed feelings of this because, like, on one hand, like, I want to rip this. I want to make endless amounts of. I want to make people laugh. So when they think about white supremacy, like, you fucking dicks. Like, you know, I want the vibe to be that it's a joke, but the problem is it's not. It's a real problem, and I feel bad when I say things that I can't help frame it in this way because it is a problem, and like. We're two white guys, and we unfortunately, well, you know, we exist outside of this. But there are people this really affects, and as much as, you know, we roll our eyes and go, "Oh, fucking white supremacists, delete!" Right? These people are dangerous. Like as much as to us they're annoyances, they are not nice people. They're doing very bad things, and I have this weird cognitive dissonance because on one hand, I just want to like highlight the absurdity of their point of view, but on the other hand, they're dangerous, and if we take the edge off that danger, all of a sudden people stop thinking of them as dangerous, and so we have to find that fine line between like saying to people it's not okay to be like this, but also fuck these fucks, you know. Like it's really hard to fight. I think it's something we have to make sure we don't take the piss too much and remind people at the end of the jokes that don't be okay with that. That's not cool. No?
Just because it's absurd and funny that someone can believe that way, it doesn't mean that mentality doesn't actually exist and doesn't actually cause severe amounts of harm in the real world. Like, to me, I think it's one of those things where we inside of the Linux community, we have so many different things to talk about. That it ends up being this environment where there's so much to talk about, there's so much that is opinionated, that you end up like just wanting to fight about stuff that genuinely doesn't matter. Like, here's the thing, Linux is one of those things where it's cool. It is awesome to tinker around with. It's fun.
I think no one's ever done. Linux is cool. It's not cool.
It is cool. It is cool. I'll make that argument because here's the thing about Linux, how I convinced someone that Linux was cool. If you install Windows and then you want to play a game, the game that you are going to download, most likely you can't change a damn thing about it. On Linux, you install it, that game that you download, if like I was telling my buddy this, I'm like, look, because we were playing a Super Tux Kart, I'm like, if you hate all of the characters, you could just open up Blender and replace all of the model files and then just move on with your day and enjoy the game. Like,
I'm shocked like that no one's done a Mario Kart total conversion for Super Tux Kart. I'm shocked that doesn't exist. Like, that seems weird. Yeah, it's just, I mean, Nintendo would make sure it's like sued out of existence. Oh yeah, but we'd still have it though. We know where to get it. You know?
I feel like the only reason that hasn't been done is because the one person who would do it and then distribute it is too scared of getting caught. Like they're like, nah.
I reckon there's one dude somewhere that's got like his open source Mario Kart he's made. And he's like, I can never show anyone.
Yeah, he's like, let me just put this over here on this little hard drive. No one in the world will ever need to know this exists.
Like somewhere Nintendo's like, well, How are they?
Nintendo's in their headquarters. I smell shit somewhere.
it's like somebody's loaded Mario's face in Blender.
Sue, copyright lawsuit. Yes.
I'd like to think they've got a big red button that just says like objection. Just like.
I think Nintendo's is one of those companies where they're genuinely smart in the way. I know a lot of people hate Nintendo because of how like ferociously they will to protect their IP, but it's kind of smart because no one messes around with Nintendo shit.
I mean, the problem with that is, okay, if we believe that copyright and patenting is a correct thing to do, yes, they are smart. But I am of the mindset that copyright only works. The copyright and patenting and all those associated things are only ever negative. Like I'm of that opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that is my opinion. So I don't think they're smart. I think they're encouraging the existence of a system that shouldn't exist. But yeah, like within that system, they're very like absolutely, they're smart. Yeah, but
that was my own.
Yeah.
With what you were saying, I was only going to disagree with that part. Like, yes, like the system that they operate in is not intelligent. However, they are playing the best.
Even though everyone knows about the Mickey Mouse curve, right? Like every time Mickey Mouse comes to the end of copyright, they then find a bullshit reason to extend that copyright or patent or whatever fucking thing like IP like law projects it, right? So like they constantly Mickey Mouse, like however old Mickey Mouse is, that's your limit on public domain, right? Like it's never going to be that because it's always going to move, right? Like people like go, that's not really important. That doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter until you look at the fact we could have had 3D printers in the 80s, but Epson owned the patent on fundamental technologies required to make it work. And you go, that's not a big deal. And you go, yeah, but what about people with prosthetic legs? We could have been making prosthetic legs $100 2 decades ago, but because patents exist, they've protected the ability to do that. You know, like how did that help anyone other than corporations? Like the system of patent and copyright only helps those with money. It scares me a little bit that people don't realize how dangerous it actually is. Like salbutamol for people like the inhalers for people with the asthmatics. That's not a sentence. Like that stuff is easy to make. We all know how to make it. Like you can go on Wikipedia and find the recipe and make it. But if you do, you're in violation of copyright or patents, whatever. I don't know. You know, like they own the recipe, so you have to find ways of making it outside of their recipe. But don't worry about the people who literally can't breathe and are dying because we've got to protect our bottom line. You know, and it's like that's not okay. So yeah, you know.
I completely agree with that. But to me, like the thing about IP and stuff that. To me, the most valid argument against not changing it is not that it's right or that we couldn't definitely come up with something better. It's the time in between the change would be utter chaos.
Okay, I've got an opinion on this that no one agrees with, right? So I accept that I am probably wrong on this opinion, right? But here's a nice one. When you make something, it is yours, right? 3 years. It's yours for 3. You own that. You can do what you want. You own that. You enforce whatever you think for 3 years. After 3 years, the public own it. Like it is part of So I write a book today. For 3 years, I can charge whatever I want. It's my book. I own it with current laws, right? On the 3-year anniversary of it, the government own it and the people own it.
Yeah, it becomes public domain.
Yeah. But when I say, but I'm like, make the government own it, so it's then their job to protect it, you know, because they own it, they become curators of it. This solves problems. So like, I mean, personally, I think we can just bin copyright entirely. We don't need if I write a book and people like my book, they're going to buy their book from me, not from Bob that's done a photocopy because they want me to write more, right? So like, people will realize they have to support the creators in order to get the stuff they want. So that's my opinion, but I understand that a lot of people would be uncomfortable with that. So I'm like, if J.K. Rowling didn't make all the money in the world of Harry Potter in the first 3 years, she probably doesn't deserve any money, right? Like she would be wealthy instead of ridiculously wealthy. She'd still be a piece of shit, but like, you know, financially speaking, would she be worse off? No. Like, what's the benefit? And we need things to drop into the public domain to enrich our culture. Like, if things don't go public domain, our culture can't get enriched. Like, okay, so look like you look at Shakespeare, right? Imagine if Shakespeare was still in copyright. Like them school kids want to learn about Shakespeare. Well, we have to pay royalties to Disney. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like as soon as something is done, let's put it in the public domain, it enriches our society. People can make fan fiction of it, and people can talk about it, and people can distribute, and then someone else can have a crack at making a film about it. Everyone benefits, apart from the people that are trying to make ridiculous amounts of money.
And
which is why I use Linux for the record as well. That's back to the same thing. It's all the same thing. Linux is free. I don't like all the benefits of Linux. All the reasons I like Linux are because no one's trying to fucking copyright it in the same way. That's all of that is the reason.
no.
I went off on a tangent then. You see, I went off on a big tangent.
No, I completely agree with that tangent, and I enjoyed it because it's so true. Like, to me, the only part where I don't disagree or I don't agree with you is I don't think it's going to be an easy transition. Like,
I think it would be just go. All the current laws work except they all expire after 3 years. I mean, I feel like that's a very easy thing to do. Go. So over 3 years old, you own it. It's free. Like, that's it. And it's a very easy rule to go. Check the date. Is it more than 3 years? Yes. Don't worry about it. Is it less than 3 years? Who do I have to pay? Like, I feel like it's actually really easy if you just go. That's like. So when you open a book, you go first published. Like 1992, oh, that's free now. First published 2001, it's free now. Published like 2019, oh, that's in copyright. You know, like it's very easy to, and anyone can understand it. Because right now, do you know, like, if I name a book, if I say Isaac Asimov's Foundation, do you know if that's in copyright or not? Is that public domain or not?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's what is complicated. That book was originally published in a magazine a couple of years before it's published as a book. So if you've got the transcripts from the magazine, that is public domain. But as soon as you compile them into a book, it becomes copyrighted because the book is still under copyright, whereas the magazine print isn't. So how does the same text compiled differently is under copyright? Like these sorts of things. Like this is why we don't like you just if it was just a nice and straightforward date, like it's older than this, so this is free, that would be fine. And as it is, it's like there's some debate as to if Sherlock Holmes is under copyright. Like nobody, like the writer's been dead, like for a long time. Like why do we give a shit if it's under copyright? But Netflix got sued because they made Sherlock Holmes emotional. Ergo, he must be from the later books, so he's under copyright. If he had less emotion, he would have been based on the earlier works. Like that literally happened, by the way. That literally happened.
Really?
Yeah, like because as Sherlock Holmes is written, as the books go on, he becomes more emotional and more sensitive. So sensitive, emotional Sherlock Holmes under copyright, emotionless Vulcan Sherlock Holmes out of copyright, and they literally went to court over this, over like something like wait 3 years, kind of was the answer, you know?
You changed my mind. I do agree with you. Yeah, that's
there you go. Yeah, I won. Because if you have a strict date, and it doesn't matter what the date is, I'm of the mindset that 3 years is enough for anyone. 5, whatever, like some arbitrary number, but it shouldn't be a big one, right? But like, if I literally can look at a work and I go, I don't know if it's in or out of copyright, then what's the point in having a public domain system? Like, how does that help it? Like Star Trek the original series, like who's making money out of Star Trek original series, right? They haven't made it since the 60s, right? Everybody knows who these characters are to the point where like Kirk and Spock might as well be Bible characters. But somehow fucking whoever owns it is still trying to tell you to pay for it if you want to make a shirt with their faces on. Who the fuck, like at this point they're public domain in everything except law.
I mean, like let's be honest, the fact that I need to pay for the first episode, like now again, I'm not shitting on the show. I don't want anyone to like misinterpret this.
Love Star Trek.
The fact that I have to pay a decent chunk of change to watch the first intro to the first episode and see a cardboard spaceship on fishing line go through the screen, how does that make any sense? Like, I mean, again, I'm not shitting on the show. I very much enjoy it.
No, I love the show. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah. But like, why am I paying for this?
Exactly. Like, it makes no sense.
And then there's the other argument, right? Like, okay, so like, let's be honest. Let's not be honest because, you know, it's illegal. But how many nerds do you think don't have Star Trek on their hard drives? Because I would guess that there are anyone that wants Star Trek and is remotely nerdy probably has it illegally on their hard drive. I would never. You would.
I mean, of course, never. No.
As a mind game, let's say we did though, right?
Yeah.
Functionally, and when I say functionally, I mean like in the real world, outside the realms of law, that is open. That is open source. That is public domain because nobody's going to go, I want to watch Star Trek. No one's going to go, well, you should pay for it. Everyone's going to go, here's a memory stick. There you go. And they're not going to think twice about it. Functionally, that has absolutely no copyright. But legally, that is wrong. So going, I love this thing that was made so long ago that nobody gets hurt by me sharing it. This thing I love, I'm trying to share with my friend. I am a criminal for doing this, and that's fucking stupid, right? I will never buy a book from a dead author. Like, if the author's dead, I will buy it used because I'll buy it from a store, or I will pirate it, because if an author is dead, who am I paying for this work? The company owns the copyright.
I can guarantee you it is not his family.
And even if it is his family, they didn't do anything. So if Arthur Conan Doyle wrote Sherlock Holmes, his kids didn't do shit apart from be alive. Why should they get paid?
Good point.
Like, they didn't do anything. Why should like the idea of like hereditary ownership of copyright? Like, fuck you. You didn't do anything. You don't get any money. Like, why should you? Like, go write your own book.
That's like me getting my mother's paycheck after she dies because she worked for a company. Like, I'm not working for what? Like, how does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't. And it's like, you can fuck right off. I don't like, the idea of like, you want to share the thing you love, you scum, criminal scum. Like, yeah, and as you said, like, who's paying to see the cardboard spaceship on fishing wire? Like, no.
I mean, and also too, I mean, this is definitely not really a main point, but when the fact that I'm paying pretty much the same price for that episode as an episode for something else that contains like $60,000 worth of CGI in like 2 scenes.
I would even argue that, like, if we want to look at cultural impact, something like Star Trek has had a bigger cultural impact than some more recent show. Like, so if you're going from that point of view, then maybe. But that's whichever way you look at it. Like, they've made their money with that. Like, stop trying to milk me. You've had your money for that. Fuck off. Like, you've had your money. Yeah, but like, it's the other one that pisses me off is when I like a show, I want to pay for it. I'm like, okay, so I like Babylon 5 as an example. This is not a good example because you can buy it on Google Play. But I want to watch Babylon 5. I love Babylon 5, one of my favorite shows. Love it. Happy to pay for it so the man that wrote it gets some money and the actors get some money. I'm like, that's fine. I will pay for it. And you go, not available in your region. Of course I'm going to pirate it. I'm not going to go, oh, I should move to Germany. No, you're just going to pirate it, and it's their fault. They're doing this. Like, it's their, like, you've made me pirate it, and then you've made me into a criminal. Good work.
And the whole idea that I should just order it, rip it, or buy a DVD player so that I can play. Like, screw you, man. Like, just give it to me. Like,
that's even worse, right? I had Babylon 5 and VHS, and then DVDs happened. I have it on DVD, and now digital's happened. Do I buy it for a third time? Actually, in Babylon 5's case, yes. But like, the point is, I already own the license for that. Why am I buying it again? Idiots.
I mean, that's the whole problem with a continuing line of never stopping charging money for something. Like, at some point, it becomes ridiculous. Like, Skyrim is the perfect example of that. How many times have every single one of us bought Skyrim?
I mean, for me, once, because it's a terrible game. But, I'm not a fan. But, no, I get your point.
I've never beat Skyrim. I'll be honest, I've never beat Skyrim. I've bought it twice.
I own He-Man, the original 80s He-Man in Google Play, right? Like, I watched this when I was 1 year old. This show is as old as me. I paid £9 a season for this. I'm an idiot. Like, what? How is that worth? Like, I watched it when I was a baby. Like, why am I paying for it now? It was free when I was a baby, but now I'm paying £9 when I was born. Would have been like £1,000 with inflation. That's not okay. Sorry, I just
and the fact that you're paying as much for a season of that as you would be paying for a season of anything made today.
He-Man. It's mad. Yeah, sorry. I'm going down a hole with this one.
I'm right there with you. Well, I feel like we could keep going for an exorbitant amount of time. So I feel like we'll go ahead and call it here. So thank everyone for listening. I can't speak. Thank you guys for listening. It's been a great talk.
Wait, are they watching or listening? Because I was doing facial things. I was gesturing during this whole thing.
I believe they are watching.
Okay.
They should be. There is a video.
Thank you for both watching and listening.
Yes. And thank you, Hex, for being here. It was a great talk. And
I was here before you. I've been here for like an hour before you got here
We don't have to talk about those kinds of things, okay? I know I was slacking. We'll just brush over that. This is my channel, okay? We don't have to cover my shortcomings, okay?
I don't have any. I was here.
Of course, you're perfect, man. Of course.
I keep telling people that. Although, to dear commenters, I'm aware that I'm bald. Yeah. And also, you don't need to go, Hex is well old. I'm aware that I've been young for an extended period of time. I'm aware. You don't have to tell me, all right? And also, to that one guy that's going to write, you look like a dusty egg. It's been said before. It's not funny. Also, you look like a thumb with eyes. Also been said before. We don't need that comment. It's been said. All right?
Okay. So look, if you're going to comment something like that, make it unique and new, okay? It's got to be unique.
Yeah, I do love it when someone has a better, someone comes up with an insult I've not heard. They're like, you know, the best one ever was the guy who just commented with your face ... That stayed with me. I was like, my face what? What does it mean? I felt like it was a threat. It's like, your fucking face. It's like, I don't know. But that was great. That bothered me. Anyway, we'll stop now.
Well, all right. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a great podcast.
HexDSL.co.uk for me.
His links, definitely his links and mine will be down in the description below. I will throw up the people who support me over on Patreon. Thank all of you guys for your support. It does mean a lot. And we will see you in the next one. Peace.